Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Make sure you do it. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo. Happy Wednesday as we do it live on YouTube. Hope you'll join us in the chat. And if you're downloading this and listening to it later on a podcast, make sure you join us. 120s, Monday through Thursday, live every time. And I see Jack Brown's always one of the first guys there.
He's a lifer.
JB.
He's an OG. Like, when we get into the season, like when 2023 comes around, we'll remember the people who were here in October when the Cubs weren't involved in the playoffs. We'll remember.
Here.
We'll remember the people that were here like June 5th when the Cubs weren't involved in the playoffs.
Yes. You know who I am disappointed in that we haven't seen, though? We have not seen Rachel in the comments.
We have not.
This is a UK-friendly time, too.
Yeah. It is 7:20 in England or in London
dinner
right
time.
now.
Maybe
like,
she's busy.
Yeah,
maybe she's working night side.
Maybe she's grading. She's
yeah.
grading papers or something.
Yeah, she's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Grading papers.
Someone send this to Rachel. Tell her that we're disappointed,
Tell her-
but also okay. But also, like, you know, you could just open up YouTube and leave it there for a little bit. And just say hey.
Just give us the like.
Yeah, give us the like. Say hey, and then that's all I'm asking.
How about the fresh neon sign we've got for this set?
This
Love
thing's
it.
sick. Shout out
Custom.
to Casey for getting
Fantastic.
it.
Yeah.
Amazon. I know a lot of
Amazon,
people
isn't
don't
that
like.
unbelievable?
Yeah, people
they
don't
sell
like Jeff
everything on
Bezos,
that
but
Amazon.
I mean,
we got
it's
that
pretty
on
sick.
Amazon?
Yeah, we did.
You can get anything on Amazon,
What?
brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
All
had it
right.
made on Amazon. Some kind of custom neon sign.
Garrett Johnson. When are
When
we
are we
doing the hot takes episode?
That's Garrett.
It's
That's
every
every
day,
day.
brother.
That's always hot takes. Just stick around.
She thinks
So-
Ricketts is cheap, too.
Michael says Rachel
Colada.
thinks Ricketts is cheap too.
Colada already.
Some
Already
things
in
never
the chat.
change, brother.
All right.
So some people say this is the day the White Sox won the World Series. I say this is the day the Cubs won their first World Series game in my lifetime. Right? Been a long time. They lose game
All
one
of
in
our
2016. Yeah, everybody's lifetime basically. And I mean, it was a crazy day, right? Like, it was raining during the day. I remember getting to the ballpark. The tarp was on the field, and it was kind of like, you can't go down 0-2. You can't go down 0-2 because the pressure after losing game one and 108 years, you go down 2-0.
Going back to Wrigley.
You're in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
But the one reason I think a lot of Cubs fans didn't feel bad about it, Jake was on the mound. And he wasn't 2015 Jake anymore, but he was still Jake Arrieta at the time.
Yeah.
Right? And that he came through 5 2/3 and gave them a pitching performance that led to a win, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes when I think back on it, I actually remember watching this game like in the student center at college, like trying to study for a test, but I'm also like they had a big projector on the screen. I'm like trying to keep one eye on it, but it always kind of comes back to like as much as the second go around with Jake wasn't great, and that it was kind of an unceremonious end. Had it not been for that game 2 pitching performance by Jake, the Cubs get swept in the World Series. Like they don't win the World Series had it not been for Jake being Jake at the time that they needed him to be. That it was 5-1 win. Like
Kyle Schwarber, 2 hits,
It-
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
RBIs.
lot of guys you can say that about on that Cubs team. Like, we don't talk a lot about them for good reason, but like Addison Russell, they don't win the World Series without. Miggy Montero, they don't win the World Series without. Chapman, they don't win the World Series without. Madden, they don't win the World Series. Like, a lot of guys contributed to finally breaking that massive drought. But Arrieta he went against Trevor Bauer, and early in the game,
Trevor Bauer.
Trevor Bauer, right? Yeah. And you know who was on? I went back and watched the
drone.
the YouTube highlights.
Oh,
It was just Rizzo was on base 3 times. A hit and 2 walks. Like, Rizzo, Zobrist, Schwarber, Arrieta. They were like the stars of the game. I remember getting to the ballpark, and my seat for the press, they had overspill press. They had the press box, right? And then they had, for the playoffs, they always have overspill. So at Wrigley, the overspill press was left field corner, upper deck, like top left corner. In Cleveland, the extra media was down in the right field corner and sitting outside of like the press box down below in those first, they had like 3 or 4 rows of seats there. So I'd look right down the foul pole, the first baseline, And that's where all the action was coming. Rizzo drives in Bryant with the first run. It was into the corner. Zobrist drives in Rizzo. It was into that corner. Mm-hmm. And I do remember being, as a fan, inside, like I'm trying to watch it objectively as a reporter because I have to ask questions. But inside, my stomach was turning. So what did I do? I started stress eating like I do. So I went out to the outfield right before the game. And while everybody else was eating food that was provided for the media, I went out to the hot dog stand and got grilled hot dogs with bacon and cheese all over them.
Like a true fan.
Right.
Like a true fan. Right. And then I had an upset stomach the rest of the night. but it was, you're showing the tweet that I put out today, bacon dogs. And the next time I did that, because they won, I did it every night. I'm not a superstitious guy, but when they won and I had the bacon cheese dogs, you better believe I was eating those same bacon cheese dogs in Game 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not superstitious.
Little stitious.
You're just a little.
Yeah, that's right.
From my memory, so 2016, I was in my second job out of college. I was covering high school sports down in Peoria, like in Pekin, Illinois.
Were the Chiefs still around?
The Peoria Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a Cardinals affiliate now.
Or were they still?
And you said Pekin, Illinois, not Peak, Illinois.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
But it basically Peoria. I lived in East Peoria. So one of the cool things about living in that area at the time is obviously Ben Zobrist is from Eureka, which is basically that same area.
Yeah.
But Zach McKinstry, who was a reliever for the then Indians, he's also from Chillicothe, which is in the same area. So you had the entire area, I guess, just really excited to watch both of them play. Eureka ended up naming a street after Ben Zobrist, as they should.
Could have changed
Zach
the town
McKinstry went on. He I think in that game, Zach McKinstry gave up runs to someone. I want to say he gave up a hit to Ben Zobrist, and I just remember a lot of people in the area I lived in talking about that moment. I think it was Game 2 at least. It was in Cleveland when it happened. So that was one of the cool things about where I lived at the time, outside of the fact that despite living downstate, there were a lot of Cubs fans that were excited. Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs used to be a Cubs affiliate. Ryan Sandberg used to manage at the Chiefs at one point, right? So there were a lot of Cubs fans. But I just remember the day of Game 2, I was covering some girls' high school volleyball game or some shit, and I'm going to be real with you.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I was not covering. I mean, I was there, but I was not covering.
Your mind was not there. Your soul was not there.
I was full on just watching the game cast on my phone. I can say that now. Yeah.
There's a bump set spike.
There were
bump set.
There
were
very
bump set spikes in this game.
Unfortunately, during the World Series, there were a lot of games that I had to follow the game cast or hurry up and get home and catch the last 4 innings. And thankfully, Game 7 was the one game where I got to sit there and watch the entire thing. But I remember Game 2, I think half of it I was doing something work related, and then I was able to catch the second half of it at the end. So, yeah, wild times in my life.
Yeah, I don't remember if
Rachel's here, by the way.
Yeah, Rachel is here. I was going to say.
There she is. She listened. Us. Someone must have told her.
She heard us.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I really thought it was a must-win game at the time. Yeah. I don't remember if that was the feeling I had, but looking back on it, it was. They were 100%. If they lose that game, there's no coming back.
They would have been so tight when they got back to Wrigley Field.
Oh yeah.
The pressure of playing there down 2 games.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been good. I do remember that. I think it was the 3rd inning. I didn't get to see that because you're not watching on television. I actually wanted to watch it live like a fan. Now you could go inside the press box area and watch on television, but I wanted to experience the World Series just like a fan would experience the World Series. So I sat outside in the elements and watched it, and Schwarber comes up with 2 on, and he drives in a run, and that's when you go back and watch it on television later. That's where the moment in the World Series where they keep cutting to Theo watching the game, and he gives the attaboy Schwarbs. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think it was one of the many times that you watched I think everybody knew Theo loved Schwarber, but that wasn't just like, hey, one of our guys came up with a big hit. You could tell it was his guy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's why Schwarber was here longer than what many people wanted. Some people, at least, right? Yeah, that was his guy. And I mean, that was the like, I can't believe we're watching this, like the game that Schwarber had.
That was like when he's like, yeah, I'm back.
Right.
I'm back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
when you watch those highlights.
Hits. Yeah. Rizzo had a.
Also, when you watch that highlights of that game, you're like, wow, Schwarber really did change his body going into 2018. Like,
yeah.
Like, you're like, he doesn't look anything like that anymore. Yeah. Which was an obvious, like, I remember all the media talking about him changing his body going into 2018 season. But, like, once you watch the highlights of, like, the World Series or just any highlights before 2018 and then after, you're like, wow, he looks so different now.
Yeah.
But no, that was that game was a must win. I mean, they're all must wins, right? But yeah, probably wouldn't have been good if they were going back to Wrigley down to 0-2.
Pressure wise, it was.
Sure. And it's not like they played well at Wrigley in the World Series except for the one game in Game 5.
And by the way, not just for the players and the team, fans. It was like, oh, they won a World. I've seen them win a World Series game. Like, this is possible. They can do it. Arrieta was awesome. And I did note to myself, Wilson caught the game, like we talk about Wilson Contreras calling the game, and Wilson was key in that game. They scored a run. He busts his tail down to first base and beats out a ground ball. It leads to them scoring another run. But remember, 5 2/3, we all talk about the game he calls as a catcher, yada, yada, all that stuff. They weren't worried about it in Game 2 of the World Series. Like,
right.
There were, at that point, Game 2 was the most pressure they had ever faced as a franchise. Like, that was it.
For sure.
They were in the World Series. They were down one game already. At that point, that was the biggest game in Cubs history right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was catching and calling the game, and he went 5 2/3, gave up one earned run.
He was a dog, man. I know he's kind of controversial as things played out, and we all like to forget about 2021, but as the kids say, he had that dog in him. Like, he was someone that, like, you could give the ball to every fifth day and be like, go give me quality start, go shove it down their throats. And, like, you need guys like that on your team. Like, that's, you look at this team now, this roster now, and we're still searching for those, right? But you feel like a guy like Steele, maybe Wisniewski have those types of qualities.
Like Stroman,
for sure.
Later.
Like we're going to talk about today.
Maybe
like
Nico.
Yeah, like you're looking for guys that, like, aren't afraid of the moment. And Arrieta was never afraid of the moment.
No.
I mean, we talk about this World Series game, but I mean, we've talked about the wild card game too previously.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was just one of those guys. And you can't measure it. You can't use stats. You can't you can't find a way to define it. It's just, does he have it? If he proved it more often than not that he had it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, I just want him to play baseball. Like, this week is just
right.
Forget it. I know the Cubs aren't in it, but let's get this World Series going. Like, what are they doing? This has been like 2 nights where you're just like,
I know that this is
what is on?
I know it's been like scheduled. Like, people were telling me this in my mentions last night because I tweeted, like, why the fuck aren't we playing the World Series right now whenever the NBA have like 4 games and like then there's just hockey, like the 4 major sports. Like, they're going to be competing with football this weekend. And, like, I'm just saying, like, football is football. Like,
maybe they work in the ability to flex the games earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, instead of like you said, they have a scheduled Friday, start them today. Start them on Wednesday.
What if they both had swept? Like, you know what I mean? Like, geez, it's close enough. And then we see the news. So I was thinking about, this is the anniversary, and then you see the other news that comes out. And have you ever been so sick? Like, as a kid, you get the flu real bad. You've been so sick that there's nothing left in your body from vomiting, and so you dry heave. You're going through the process of vomiting, but nothing's coming up because there's nothing left in your body. So you're going through the the phase of vomiting with nothing coming up. That's how I felt when I saw Wainwright's coming back for the Cardinals.
That's like whenever that was going.
That's like
I got the dry heaves at home.
That's like when the Cubs gave Yachty and Pujols some like scoreboard cards or whatever. Right? I'm still mad about it.
I had no idea where that was going.
That's where it's going.
I knew.
I got the chills. I got a little clammy.
I thought your child was like maybe had a sick morning.
No, this is well said. All right, and like everyone's just gonna assume that I'm just gonna like sit here and slander Adam Wainwright. I'm not gonna do that. The dude's 41, and he's actually still performing. That's like the one thing that. Like, of those three, he's the one who's still performing. Pujols had been washed for years. He had a great second half, whatever. You want to talk about juice baseballs, maybe, perhaps. Maybe they gave a little syringe. I ain't saying it happened. But I am, we can sit here and
just bringing it up.
I'm just bringing it up. And Yachty was literally, he was awful this year. He was awful, just straight awful. Like, Adam Wainwright, 41 years old, and he was still in the rotation giving them quality innings,
I do think that he had
some issues in the second half.
He had a pretty bad second half, and there was like
an injury thing related about it.
Yeah, some mechanical thing that he couldn't find. Which I'm like, considering
Either
you're
way,
Adam
though,
Wainwright, you're a veteran, and you got a really good pitching coaching staff. Like to not have found that earlier didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But it was also like there was a point I remember seeing that hey, maybe Adam Wainwright might not be in the playoff rotation if wherever the Cardinals go. Like so.
Either way, though, in the back end of his career, he's continued to give them like quality innings, and like
it's impressive. I just like him the least of the three.
Right? Doesn't mean I have to like him.
Okay,
but I definitely respect it a lot more than the other two guys that the freaking national media didn't want to shut up about all season. So
Collada's got the conspiracy theory. Ricketts forgot to honor Wainwright. That's why he's coming back.
God damn it.
Please don't give him a jersey number on his scoreboard.
My God.
Please.
Just.
It always comes with the heaters.
And all right, before we get to our report cards and some sponsors we're very proud of, I do have some breaking news. Breaking sneaker news that not even Cody Delmendo knows about. Why? Because somehow on the Facebook, they're listening to us. Facebook must know that I know Cody. And they listen to Cody all day, or they listen to the show, and they're getting in my head. They went out and they're like, I need to start sending ads and garbage to Luke Stuckmeyer. So I'm scrolling through the Facebook today, going down, and I'm thinking I'm going to post how we're going to have the show on, and we're going to talk about this. And I get a sneaker ad about Jordans that are coming out in 2023 from Jordan release dates. Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, Air Jordan 1 High OG in the works for 2023, dropping in full family sizing.
Give me 1 second. The photo's coming up.
Sarah's working on the graphic. These are Jordans that even Cody has never seen. His eyes have never gazed upon this set of Air Jordans. But now I present them in breaking news. They look like the old school Air Jordans.
Like the Jordan ones?
Yep. And they've got some like spider webs in the black.
All right,
well, I know our friend.
See them. Let's see it.
Our friend Mariano has a similar pair, or at least I haven't seen these.
They don't drop till 2023. Look at Cody. Look at Cody. Look at the excitement in his eyes.
Wow. Those are nice.
Ryan's mouth is agape. He's just.
I love those.
Yeah.
Oh, you can even see like the little web in the black. Like
okay.
I like
sneaker
those.
news. I break it here on CHGO Cubs.
Are you buying them for the crew?
I am not.
Are they gonna have the @ handle of whoever designed these on the shoes? Because if so, I don't want them.
Yeah, that we don't need. But
But
Jordan,
I do like the design though.
You should follow Jordan release dates on Facebook because they have the dates of all the shoes that are coming out.
Maybe I should start using Facebook again.
I say no.
What about MySpace? You guys into MySpace?
Dude, I had a MySpace.
I remember MySpace.
I never had MySpace.
MySpace was awesome, man. There was nothing like designing your own like page and then putting like a song and like
you can't do that with Facebook.
Then you embed like 50 YouTube videos on there of just random shit because you're a kid and you just thought they were so cool and you wanted everyone else to see them, even though they didn't give a shit, but you thought they were cool and that's all that mattered.
You thought you were like a big badass because like you limited your top friends list and you're like the people that are like, well, why am I not in your top friends?
Yes.
Sorry, you didn't make the cut.
That's when I discovered anxiety, guys. When I wasn't on the top 4. That's when I discovered discovered anxiety. That stuff bothered me as a teenager.
Right. But you thought to yourself, someday I'm going to have these Spider-Man Jordans and everybody's going to want to be me. Everybody's going to want to be me. Michael Collada says they're a waste of good money. I don't know about that.
I mean, they're not my favorite, but I do like the design. And I would consider if they don't put the at symbol.
Hold on.
Whoever
Michael Collada is the king of Ricketts is cheap. Ricketts is cheap, and then he's saying buying those shoes is a waste of good money.
That's fair. But we also don't know. Michael, how old are you?
He says he's old. He says he's old like me.
It wasn't like an all-star in like a little league or something.
Oh, well, no, it was a beer league softball. He was an all-star
a while back. Okay,
yeah, sorry.
He's Michael Collada. I don't believe is 71. Maybe
he might.
Maybe I can't remember.
We'll find out.
Find out one day.
Collada, reveal your age.
You know what may be better than those Spider-Man Jordans though?
He says 71.
Batman, some kind of Batman one.
That too, but
well done, Lawrence.
Talking about Shady Rays.
He is 71, Collada.
Shady Rays might be better than those Jordans.
Well, they'd go great together.
Yeah, they would definitely go great together.
Now, see, if you get some Shady Rays and you wear those, I believe the kids say that is a vibe.
Sure.
They would say it's a
vibe.
That I would look, if you were wearing Shady Rays and those Jordans, I would look at you and be like, he is him.
That's right. See, and Lawrence will know that there's a guy
built different, one of one.
There's a guy on Survivor this season that's Livin. He's living.
Oh,
he's got a tattoo Livin. Now I've thought about the tattoo Vibin, Vibin.
There you go.
I'm not going to do it.
No apostrophe. Just
thought about it.
Just
Vibin.
Vibin. Vibin. But yes, if you want a vibe, you need to listen up when we talk about Shady Rays right now. Because
tell us, Ryan. Tell us.
Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Dropped in the lake, off a cliff, fell off your head at homecoming, anything, they'll replace them. Even with that strong of a protection program, they still manage to make quality that I can tell you holding in my hand seems just as good as any expensive pair that I have ever worn. Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews. Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and has donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind the product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they throw profit out the window and do what it takes to get it right. Free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. And now, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at ShadyRays.com. Buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at ShadyRays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
Beautiful. They're going to be beautiful. I'm waiting for my pair to come right now, and they will go great when I get those first pair of Spider-Man, Spider-Verse Air Jordans. By the way, Collada is now saying the first game he came up the grandstand, the game was in color because he's been watching in black and white on WGN. It explains a little bit about Collada's perspective for a lot that we talk about in the chat. Yeah. He's like me. You can't wash away 50, 60 plus years of bitter disappointment with one World Series.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't, you guys don't have, you got to put it into perspective. He'd been hurt so many times by watching the Cubs that the winning the World Series was great, and he loved it, I'm sure. But you can't wash it. It's like cleansing for one colonoscopy. Doesn't quite do it. You got to, might take 2.
What a metaphor there by Luke Stuckmeyer.
That's the way it was. I'm just giving you the real facts. And Collada brings a veteran perspective. I appreciate that.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
Pins and Aces, the official golf apparel partner of CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear. Get tons of compliments on and off the golf course. They are a family-owned golf and apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, even our favorite beer sleeve, an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag and keep drinks cold the entire round. Check out pinsandaces.com. Use the code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. See, Collada says that's why he rags on Ricketts. I don't put that on one person.
Fair.
Ricketts wasn't around for the first 40-plus years of disappointment in my life.
As far as the owner, at least.
That's right. No, he's the best owner they've had in my lifetime.
It's true.
There you go.
I can't argue. He's the only one that's won a World Series.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll get back to our report cards. Couldn't decide who to, give a report card today. We talked about maybe should we be Andrelton Simmons today? Maybe should we Jesse Chavez? Where do we go for this? We settled on the first one. Our pitcher,
you
Marcus
really love
Stroman.
to bring up Jesse Chavez.
Jesse Chavez. It's a long time era in Cubs baseball history, multiple times.
We're going to do the Stro show, though.
Stro show. We were all excited by the signing, right?
Oh, yeah.
That much we know. How did he live up to the hype for you, Cody?
All right, so I'll go results C, stuff and adjustments A-, and then overall B-. The results C, because he was underwhelming. Let's be real. Like if you take in the entire season, he was underwhelming. And as much as I defended him, I don't think he played to the level of making $25 million this year or whatever it was.
I'm surprised by this, Cody. I thought you were going to go a higher grade. I know for me, he was disappointing early on.
First half,
I thought you believed you got exactly what you paid for.
In the second half, you did.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he did it for a full year, then I'd probably be giving him an A right now. But that's why I gave his stuff/adjustments an A-, because he did get better after he came back from the shoulder inflammation, right? And I don't want to take away the injury thing, because like the original reason he went on the IL was because of getting COVID and like whatever. Like that sucks, right? And then he came back too fast and ramped it up too fast, whatever. Yeah. Shoulder inflammation, he's out. Cubs are playing bad. He didn't pitch well in April. Like it's not looking great as far as the signing, right? That's literally like 3 months of the year. That's basically what it was. Mm-hmm. Second half of the year, though, he was a lot better. And that's why I give him a B-, because he did salvage the year. And I do think that means something going into 2023. And I do think that you feel good about him going into 2023. The only if there's anything I can complain about in the second half is that he did not pitch well against St. Louis. Yeah, I think he had one good start against St. Louis, and there was a few bad ones against them as well. And so you got that's just one team, and I know they're not going to play the Cardinals 19 times a year anymore, but you got to beat the rivals. I'm sorry. It lives in my head if you don't pitch well against the rivals.
Kyle Hendricks still does. He had that one right at the end, right the last time he was pitching pretty much.
Fair.
He had a 7 innings shutout in St. Louis at their stadium.
Either way, though,
But I get what you're saying.
I think everyone gets where I'm coming from. I think that there's a lot to like going into 2023, but if you're looking at first year, high expectations for him, for sure. The one thing everyone loved about him when the Cubs got him was durability. He was out for a little bit. I can't. It is something that I have to put him down for, unfortunately. But does that mean I don't feel comfortable with him going in next year? No. But again, so I think a B- is fair.
Yeah,
it's a passing grade.
Yeah, I'm very similar to what you put in there. My results were in the C+. So a little bit higher than what you had, but the same as the stuff/adjustments category, A-. And when you look at his overall numbers, they were very, maybe average to above average, I would say, just overall. And I don't think, when you have to take the good with the bad, so that he had a lot of bad starts, but then he ended up having a lot of good starts too. The stuff, we know he doesn't throw, he's not like a velocity pitcher, and sometimes that causes bad results when he's not hitting the spots right, because he is a guy that allows a lot of batted balls in play. So I know as far as results go, I believe his max exit velocity, or his exit velocity, was higher up this year. His hard hit rate, that kind of stuff, I believe was all up this year from where it's been in the past. It wasn't the highest, but it's he still had above league average 89 mile per hour average exit velocity. Hard hit rate was 40.7%. So it wasn't great. And then, ERA at 3.5. It was a lot of very, in the grand scheme of things, average to above average numbers. But when you look at what he did in the second half, as you talked about a lot, Cody, I mean, he came back with the week before the All-Star break. I think he made 2 starts, and it was like a completely different pitcher than what we saw in the first half. He had good starts. I know he had that one on his birthday in Milwaukee.
Oh,
that
yes.
was great. But it was a lot of bad starts. And he's talked about, he's not making excuses, but he's talked about how he really doesn't feel, or at the time, like early on in the season, he did not feel built up. He did not feel good coming off the shortened spring training. Again, not making that as an excuse, but that's kind of the thing that he pointed to as like, if I can just feel right, I'll pitch well. Didn't have that, had COVID, came back, got hurt again, was down for about a month. Came back right before the All-Star break and had great start after great start. I think he ended the season with like 4 straight quality starts, something like that. And he had a 2.56 ERA in the second half, or his last, I think it was 16 starts because he pitched 9 times before that and he ended up with 25. So 16 starts. He had 2.56 ERA. And it was like in the 5.8 or something like that in those first 9. So for him to have adjusted, not only to just where his body was physically in the first half, for most of the first half, to going in and Michael Colasas has to go more than 5 2/3 to start. I mean, look at how many.
Nobody does anymore.
But you also
Nobody
look at
does,
how many,
but he did do it.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's just pretty rare now.
Yeah, it is.
Like if you get 5 innings out of your starter, that's,
unless you're like the elite starters of the league, and that's kind of goes back to like what I was saying about him. It's like you paid the guy to be able to do that. So in a way, I'm kind of with him, but yeah, I mean.
6 would be nice.
6 would be nice. I'm not asking
nice.
for 7. I'm asking for 6.
Again, he can give you
if he can go through 6, that'd be great.
That last 16 starts, that stretch after he finally came back and felt healthy and didn't really miss any more time. Out of those 16, 9 of those were 6+ innings. I think he had 6 or 7 quality starts. I'm trying to look at the thing really quickly. But like you said, unless you're like the ace, and there's not many of them. There's not a ton of pitchers out there that you reasonably give the ball and say, "Go get me 7 innings," or even there's few. There's more, but still not as many as in the past. You're like, "Go get me 6." Yeah. Getting 5 innings, especially in a season like this, getting 5 innings from the starters was like a good thing because of the way bullpens are used and the short spring training and all that stuff. Like getting 5 innings from a starter on a consistent basis this year was great. And if we'll see how much that changes with the regular offseason for the first time in 3 years, like that kind of stuff. We'll see how much that changes next year. But for right now, just the way pitching staffs are made up, 5 innings wasn't a bad thing. So 5 2/3 is cool. 6 was great, honestly. 6 or 7 quality start, those are all great. He had that one start. I forgot who it was against, but he had like 6 1/3 of he was throwing a no-hitter. And I remember talking to him do you even realize at the time that you're throwing a no-hitter? He's like, yeah, I do, but I'm also a pitcher that I let the ball go in play, so it's going to be a lot harder for me to throw a no-hitter. I'm not blowing stuff past guys and striking them out. I'm rambling right now, but results C+, just was mostly above average overall. But the stuff is great. We know the slider sinker combo is great. And there was actually a point, and this goes to adjustment, there was a point where the sinker and the slider were he was using them a little less. And then he wasn't pitching great, and then so he adjusted back and started using them more. They ended up obviously being his most used pitches on the season, like they've always been for his career. And you see what he did in the second half. So the stuff and the stuff's good. The adjustments were great. I give it an A-. Again, I think I knock him a little bit just because he doesn't have the velocity, but that's just the pitcher he is. I don't want to take it too much. Overall, I think I gave it a B. He can be better. I know he wants to be better, and I think he can be better. So we'll see how this offseason goes for him. Full offseason, let him go in the next season healthy.
Plus going into
see what happens.
Potentially a contract year. Next year.
Potentially.
Right.
Potentially. If he opts out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that will happen. I know he's talked about loving Chicago and potentially, maybe finishing his career with the Cubs.
You'd have to have an insane year for him to really.
I think guys are, the older they get, the less likely they are to opt out of stuff. He's getting closer to the age where you're like, well, why would he opt out? He's got a pretty good deal for that.
Yeah.
It'll be a wait and see.
I guess I'm going to look overly optimistic here. which I'm surprised
occurrence.
by, because I was one of the guys early in the season saying, this is not what they paid for. This is not the guy they paid for. And I don't know how much I should grade according to what I expected going into the season or what I hoped going into the season, like when they signed him. Now I look at him and I say, be great. It'd be good if he was your number 2. It'd be great if he was your number 3. It'd be spectacular if he was your number 4, right? Like, if he could be your lackey when the Cubs are actually good, now you've got a staff. But I also see some of these pitchers that are out there in the postseason and think, Stroman could do that starting a game 3. I could see that. So he falls in a similar category with Hendricks, but not exactly the same one. The results, I gave him a B- just because I thought it was passing. He was better than your average Joe going out there. It wasn't good early. I agree with everybody that says, maybe he wasn't pitching in super high leverage when they knew the team was done already. But I don't think that impacted him. That he doesn't seem like one of the guys where that would actually have an impact. I could see that for a younger guy feeling less pressure. And I don't think that was Stroman. I just think
he knows he's got to live up to that contract.
He does, but I think things just were not right early in the season. And I upgraded from some of the I had a lot of C's early on. I was giving it just like everybody else, C+, and I thought, well, he also is a contact guy who had to play with VR over at third base.
Yeah. Well, and that
at least one game, I got to take that into effect.
And I feel like that's the thing is like there was pretty much everyone on the
Cubs All-Star team.
Pretty much everyone in the rotation this year was like a soft contact, like ground ball kind of guy. I mean, Steele did that a lot. Kyle Hendricks, we know that's who he is. Stroman, we know that's who he is. There was a lot of guys on this team. Wade Miley, if he ever was healthy, like that was kind of his game as well. And to have the defense behind them that didn't make that any easier to handle.
It was not a great defensive team.
And
Nico was good. Hap was good. The rest were,
Yeah, and you can't blame it on that. I know he wouldn't blame it on defense behind him, but that does play a factor. If you're struggling and guys are putting the ball in play and the defense behind you isn't doing you any favors, then that kind of compounds on things. But I mean, we both gave it a B. I may have gone too hot. My grade might have been too positive because I've been giving tough grades. Like I went as high as B+ for the guys that were really, really good this season. Maybe I should have gone B-, C+. But I can look at him and say he's a good player on a lot of teams, not just the Cubs. Yeah.
So that's why I went above C. Like he's not just a guy who pitched well and was like, it's only because he's on the Cubs that I'm giving that grade. A lot of teams would still like Marcus Stroman. So
I think a lot of teams, except maybe like Mets fans. But that's
except Mets fans and Dodgers fans.
Yeah.
Both those fan bases hate him. I don't know why Dodgers fans hate him, but
Dodgers fans hate everyone.
Cody, do you have a pick of the week before we get to the great Zach McKinstry report card?
Oh, buddy. I know we're Chicago here, but I don't know what to tell you for Bulls Pacers tonight. So I'm going to give you the lock for Thursday Night Football. Listen, I know that Tom Brady is down right now and looks like he might be getting divorced.
And making a lot of money on that.
Yeah, like it does. And the Buccaneers just got pounded by the Panthers. But how many times have we seen it, folks? Like how many? Like I'm giving Tom Brady one more chance. I'm slamming Buccaneers money line. I got it at plus 110 the other day. It's down to like minus 105. So they're actually a lot of people coming in on the Buccaneers money line.
And who are they playing?
They were playing the Ravens, who I think are a bunch of frauds.
I maybe should play Godwin in fantasy then.
I love the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football, prime time, against Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. First off, the Ravens, when they get a lead, they blow it.
Yeah.
All right? They almost blew it against the Browns, who also are a bunch of frauds. Buccaneers, they're hearing it this week, right? Like they scored 3 points against the Panthers on Sunday. Short week.
A tanking Panthers team.
Tanking Panthers
that
team.
Just traded Christian McCaffrey.
Tanking Panthers team. This is
PJ Walker.
I'm giving Tom Brady and all that talent that's down there in Florida one more shot. Home dogs against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on prime time. I will take Tom Brady as a dog on prime time every day of the week. Unless he loses this week, then I'm done.
So one more shot.
One more shot. People were talking about like this is the end of the line for Tom Brady. People are saying it. They're all saying on the big media shows. Stephen A. He's saying it. Skip's saying it. He's hearing it. I love the Buccaneers. Thursday Night Football. I also love the under, but I've been taking the under all year. The under is 14-8 in primetime this year.
Really?
Sarah's right. Smash that like button.
Please. Please.
So that's what I like.
All right, that's your pick of the week.
That's my pick of the week.
DraftKings pick of the week. I like it.
I won't disagree with you.
So our
On
final grade of the day is for Zach McKinstry. And here's a guy they picked up in one of the trades after the trade deadline. And the thought going into it was he's behind a lot of great players in L.A. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle for your next Zobrist player for a guy that just was stuck on too good of a team to get enough chances to really prove. And now you put him on this Cubs team, and when he gets that opportunity, he will run with it.
Yeah.
Cody, how did you feel about it?
All right, so offense, I went D-. Defense, I went C. Perhaps could be a little bit higher, but he definitely had some blunders out there that had people ready to cut him in August. And overall, I went D+, because if you look at the offensive numbers, it just wasn't great. And I think that is what's maybe it's overshadowing it. I do think the defense got better as we got into September. Well, here's some stats. Dell Metrics. I'll actually give you some stats though, Ryan. In August, he became a Cub on the 27th of July. So taken from the 27th of July all the way through the end of August, he had a weighted runs created plus of 52. He hit 206, on base at 239, and slugged 309. I mean, that is bad.
Not good.
Just awful.
Not good, Bob.
And somehow the Cubs had a 500 month that month. It was not because of Zach McKinstry. But in September, and again, it's still not great, but it is improved. In September, he had a 97 WRC plus, 207 batting average, 296 on base, and slugged 402. He had a few more homers in September. Again, these numbers are not great, but he did get better in September compared to August. And I do think that he is a utility guy at best. I do not think he is someone that you can go into 2023 and slot in at second or anywhere really and just say, I want you to play there every day. But I do think in the perfect role, which is as a utility guy, I think he can be valuable. I think he can be a Chris Coughlin type guy for this team, and just be a guy. I think he can be that. And to get a guy like that for Chris Martin, no one's going to look at that trade that Jed made and say that the Cubs won it or the Dodgers won it, but I think it's one that we'll look back and be like, not too shabby. Again, people wanted to cut this guy in August. He hadn't even been here a month yet. And again, those numbers in August were awful. But I do think September he got better for his standards, right? So I think that he can be better. Was he good in his 2 months of trying to prove it with the Cubs? Not necessarily, but I do think he showed some flashes of having some value, of being a guy off the bench. So I give him a D+.
Sean says Madrigal better than McKinstry. So I was just going to ask.
I think we all agree with that.
If you had to go Madrigal, Bodie, and McKinstry, what order would you rate them in?
I'd put McKinstry second behind Madrigal and Bodie last.
I'm looking at it as who should the Cubs keep for next year.
Right, I'm looking at what Madrigal, you know about him, what the upside is, all of that stuff.
I think it had to go Madrigal, McKinstry, Bodie.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, that's the way I would go too. I think you know what you have in Bodie.
Yeah.
And McKinstry gives you a left-handed bat.
I feel a little bit bad for Bodie because he earned that whatever contract extension, whatever you want to call it. But I'm at the point where I think Bodie is just depth. If there's an injury and he's in Iowa, I'd rather see McKinstry get a shot as a utility guy for second base next year. And I don't even know how much he would do it, because if the Cubs go get a Correa or Bogarts or Turner or Swanson, someone like that, you can move Nico Horner to second if they wanted to. Or that guy can play second base. And then you got a logjam of whoever that guy is and Madrigal and McKinstry. But at least McKinstry can play all across the diamond. Like, he can play some third. We've seen him play some short.
Bodie was hurt by out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not that the other guys jumped in and took the job, but you saw somebody like Morel come in and show you that he could do it with more power and more versatility, and he's younger and he's got more upside, all those things. And so it was like, when you factor Morel into that same conversation with McKinstry, Bodie, and Madrigal, now you have a logjam.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you really have. Ryan, what did you do for grades on McKinstry?
Yeah. Again, somewhat similar to Cody. Offense, I went with a D. Defense was a C, and then overall, gave him a D+. I think you had a D+ as well, Cody. Yeah, I mean, the offense just wasn't great, and I will give him, some of the benefit of the doubt in that he just was not playing at all with LA, and then kind of just moved into, he played a lot here. Like, it was just kind of night and day, and adjusting to a new team, in a time where he's also just kind of bouncing around at different positions. But just offensively, it just wasn't good. I mean, you gave all the numbers, but as far as with the Cubs, 78 WRC plus, 279 weighted on base average. I mean, you want to just go with regular numbers, 206 average with the Cubs, 272 on base, 633 overall OPS. Like, it wasn't a good offensive season from him. I think there's a little more in there, and you saw a couple times during September. Like,
September he was okay. We looked at him, like, there were a few times I took him for who you got. Yeah, and everyone was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, the guy's swinging a decent bat right now." Like,
I mean, there was a couple weeks in there.
Yeah,
where he had a good run.
It wasn't all negative.
It wasn't like a crazy extended, like, this guy is getting 3 hits every single game, but it was like, okay, he's putting together a little bit.
Like a 5-for-5 game in there.
It was something.
I think it was the Zach McKinstry game.
It was like
you just will never say
like multiple extra base hits.
Yeah. Did he grab the opportunity and run with it?
No,
I can't say
definitely
that.
Did he grab the opportunity and fumble it? No, not totally. He just didn't run with it.
It's not the biggest deal in the world, because you're not going to have to pay him a ton of money or anything like that. And he can play multiple positions. So it's not like Madrigal, where he's basically second base or nothing, right? Like, I think that's the pro with him. But I do think Madrigal is a better hitter, so that's why I would rank Madrigal ahead of him.
I don't know if he's enough to keep on the 40-man. I don't know that answer.
And then as far as the defense goes, I didn't even get to that part. He was relatively good. I mean, he didn't have, at least with the Cubs, any negative as far as defensive runs saved. He ended up with, at shortstop, he actually ended up with 1. That, I don't know if that was more having to do, Fangraphs doesn't really split it between Cubs and Dodgers, but 2 outs above average at second base this year, right at average with outs above average at third base, and then he had 1 at shortstop. And if he could play three positions at least average to above average play, again, he's not going to – there's no reason for him to be a starter on this team. But if he gives you a lefty bat, a depth piece who, like, guys get hurt, guys need a break, guys need whatever, can hop in around the diamond and fill a couple positions. Like, as versatile as his game has become, McKinstry being able to play multiple positions is valuable. So, yeah, what I think I had D and C, and it was a D+ overall. Could have maybe been a little closer to a C-. It just was like the offense didn't do it for me as much as the defense. Like, and then he had a few mistakes in the field, but that kind of gets overblown sometimes. But so I gave him a D+ overall. It's just you wanted to see a little bit more for a guy you got at the trade deadline with a big opportunity in front of him. You didn't really get it.
Yeah.
Especially right away. Like, again, like, the August was awful.
Yeah.
The August was bad, and, like, the only reason that I am saying that, I think him coming back next year as a utility guy is because of the September. And the September wasn't great either, but he was at least a little bit closer to average.
Yeah.
So D+ overall, D+ overall. what do you know? D plus, D plus, D plus, D
at all
plus
of
is for
us.
everybody.
D plus.
All the way around. I don't have anything extra to say other than I don't like the safety glasses. I don't like the clear safety glasses look. It's not my thing. So I lose a little vibe swag for him with the glasses. It just looks a little goofy. It looks like he should be in a shop somewhere working with something. I don't know.
Only some players can do it, right?
Only if you're getting 3 hits a night, you got a vibe going. If you don't, you look a little ridiculous in the safety goggles from Home Depot.
I can't believe
everybody D plus.
Collada's giving him a C. I was actually surprised.
But he also said you got to see a full season, and they can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
Agreed. C, though. Huh.
Such
It's
negativity on the show.
Yeah, Collada's got basically an all-star team out there.
Yeah.
for real.
For real, man.
McKinstry, give him a C. Stroman, A. Hey, I do want to point out we've got a lot of tailgates coming up for the Bears. We're all going to be there coming up against the Dolphins. And great deal. There's 3 coming up here. It's Dolphins, Packers, and Lions. $46. You get your food, you get drinks, booze, beer. You get good times. Bags will be out there. Parking can be there if you need it. A lot of people want to head to the game afterwards. No better time to jump in on this than when the Bears are hot. I heard somebody on the radio today, a national voice, actually talking about the Bears being a dangerous playoff team if they had to go to Philadelphia. And I almost drove off the road because I was like, what is he talking about? Like, let's not get too excited over beating a bad Patriots team when you had 11 days. Like, I don't want to kill vibes, but you're talking about beating the Eagles in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Now that is optimistic.
That is
Quite optimistic.
That is that is like full on Homer. But I respect
But it was
I
a
love
national
good
guy.
Homer.
It wasn't even a Bears
Oh,
fan. I was
really?
like, what?
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
It was very
You
positive.
sure you're not talking about
is
Adam,
that?
like someone like Adam Rank?
No,
No?
this was a big name national guy on the radio.
Okay.
And we have some new merch. So you can show up to the new tailgates. Make sure you get those tickets, allchgo.com. And that's also where you can get the new merch.
Yep.
New release for the Bears. I like that one kind
I
of.
love that one. I like the Bulls one too.
I love the Bulls one.
The Bulls one
I really
hits.
like the Bulls. It's got a little Windy City Bulls look to it, but it's definitely the Bulls.
I think the reason I love the Bulls one
Those
a
are
little bit
awesome.
more is I get a little bit more of a retro feel out of it.
Yeah.
And retro is very in these days.
Right. That's why I'm so popular.
Yeah. Absolutely why Stucky's so
No,
popular.
no. Retro. It's all good. That's why
Yeah.
Collada and I are 2 of the most popular people on this chat. Retro. We're all retro.
Yeah.
Anyways, new merch on the website. Don't forget to get the tickets to the tailgate. We'd like to hang out, meet you guys.
All 3 of us will be there, right?
We're going to be there.
I'll be there.
Hopefully the weather's going to be like, this would be ideal. This is tailgate weather today.
Right here.
Like the warm tailgates are nice, but really a tailgate, I want like 60, 50.
Some leaves flying
sunny,
around.
They blow the smoke away a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Who do you want to grade tomorrow? Who haven't we graded yet?
Before we get to that,
Yeah.
I remember seeing Jack Brown earlier in the show. So when are we getting more Cubs merch? CHGO Cubs merch.
We're going to ask for more merch.
We got to make this happen.
I'm
Collada
with
wants
you.
to
We
see
gotta
the
make this
discount.
happen.
Yeah, we can ask for more merch. Well, you know what? When the team wins, then we'll start to get more merch. Maybe if they get Aaron Judge, I would say there'd be a shirt coming out.
Yeah.
You know, they sign Judge, we'll have a shirt and a sweatshirt
You know,
and a hoodie.
all rise or something.
I did
like
hear a rumor that the lids might be coming
Yeah.
sometime soon, maybe Black Friday.
Yeah.
that. Ooh.
The hoodies are on the website too.
Hoodies are sweet too.
They're not
Saw
Cubs
those.
related, but they are
No,
CHGO.
just CHGO ones.
And if you like CHGO, which I assume you do if you're watching the show, then or listening.
I'm gonna go for the camo one. I like the camo one.
Yeah.
The bottom one.
Yeah, I
Camo
like the
hoodie
camo one too.
with the CHGO logo
Absolutely.
over your heart, where it should be at all times.
Yeah.
All right,
Tomorrow, though?
real quick, who do you want to grade? We got like 2 minutes left. Who haven't we graded as a position player?
We didn't do Keegan yet. Oh, sorry, position player.
Oh, well, we could do Keegan. And then do we want to do Simmons?
No, I don't
Not
want to do
really.
Want to do
Simmons.
Andrelton Simmons and Keegan?
What about Ortega?
We've done Ortega. We haven't done
We did Seo, right?
Hermosillo. Yeah, we've done Seiya. I think we've done everybody that played
I think we've done all of the guys who played every single day almost.
Significant time.
Yeah.
We haven't done Rivas.
Velasquez.
Yeah.
Higgins.
I think Ortega is like the last one.
Thompson and Ortega.
Or Collada said Hayward.
Oh, wow. Now that's going to be a...
Do we have to?
I like Thompson and Ortega.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Hayward might be the last guy we grade.
I don't even know if we should be giving him if we're going to give VR a grade, then I guess we got to give Simmons a grade, right? But
well, we could do a report card for Simmons, Ortega, VR. We could put a lot of guys on one report.
We haven't done Schwindel. He played a lot.
Oh, you want to do well, let's save him. He's a headliner.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
We can do that one Thursday.
You can't do all the headliners on one show.
Right. Absolutely
Fair enough.
Not with this long.
So Keegan and Ortega for Big Thursday, and maybe hopefully a guest. And we're also we have to before the World Series starts. We have to pick our World Series team.
Our World Series. So who you got?
Yeah, and I think we go 4 players. But if you want to have a pitcher, great. If you don't want to have a pitcher, great. We can't do. You have to have a Cubs player because there's just not enough love to go around. Right?
Someone's calling, but it ain't for us. It's probably for someone else, aka the Blackhawk show coming up.
Yeah, I mean it's probably somebody big like Aaron Judge, but we'll take that call tomorrow.
I just hung up on him. I just hung up.
Sorry.
Go away.
It was spam for sure. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. We will see you on Thursday. Until then, fly the W.